Rory McIlroy will be winning a major in the future. I have no doubt from that to why he may have struggled in those last few holes. And that expectation adds a huge amount of internal pressure. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. I'm Lewis Hatchett, mindset mental performance coach, former professional athlete in the great English game of cricket, also a master's student of performance psychology at Bangor University. I'm the host of the Raising Your Game podcast and the creator of the Mind Strong Sport app. Download that. Link is in the description. Shameless plug. We're going to be talking about the 2024 US Open in golf. If you didn't see it, Bryson DeChambeau won it. But controversially, Rory McIlroy was leading with 5 holes to go and then kind of blew it and lost at the end, much to my disappointment, because I love Rory McIlroy. I'm a huge Rory McIlroy fan, and huge props to Rory. This video is going to be looking at what possibly could have been going on with Rory McIlroy from a mindset, mental performance, psychological point of view as to why he may have struggled in those last few holes, and also why Bryson DeChambeau potentially won it at the end. But none of this is a diss at Rory. This is just a huge tip of the cap to someone who is one of the best athletes that sport of golf has to offer, someone that I regard as such an incredible inspiration in sport. What he does and the pressure that he must be under is just incredible. And so what happened to him is not only going to be disappointing for him, but so many fans around the world. But we still have no doubt that Rory McIlroy will be winning a major in the future. I have no doubt from that. Even from this performance, as disappointing as it was, there is no doubt that what he achieved, he is going to be coming back and winning a major. There were so many positives taken from the 4 days of this 2024 Open. However, we did get to see him fall away right in the dying moments when the pressure was really on, and what you could class as choking under pressure. But this is just taken from some of the literature, the choking under pressure literature, as to what could have been going on, and then also how you could potentially overcome it and then fight off choking under pressure for yourself, especially if you're a golfer. I know I'm a golfer and I struggle in those clutch moments, especially you can feel your knees knocking if just a couple of people are watching you, but this is a different level of what we're talking about at the US Open. This is thousands of people, millions of people watching at home, thousands of people out there on the course watching every move, everything you're doing, and the pressure is so intense. So to say that it wouldn't get to you would be a lie. It's just about who deals with it best on the day and then putting in that performance. So what is it that actually happened to Rory potentially choking under pressure? Well, it comes down to 2 distinct models that have been found in the literature that are based around one known as the distraction model and the other known as the self-focused model. The distraction model is where we focus on our task-irrelevant cues rather than task-relevant cues. Task-relevant cues are what you need to do in order to execute that skill to the best of your ability. So in golf, it's striking the ball, it's making that putt, it's hitting the driver, it's hitting an iron shot, and executing that swing to the best of your ability. All of those task-relevant cues that allow you to do that to the best of your ability, they are relevant. But what happens in this distraction model is that we focus on task-irrelevant cues. Now, these could be either internal or external. Internally, they could be the worries, your expectations, could be what you're saying to yourself, anything that is distracting you from those task-relevant cues. But the external could be crowd noise, it could be opposition, it could be just general things that are going on in the environment around you to distract you away from these relevant cues. Now, the other model is self-focused cues. This is where you consciously become aware of every movement that you're making. It's where you're placing your hands, your feet, and it comes from essentially reinvestment theory, which is where we slide back down what's known as the learning continuum. Think of this like when you're learning a skill, if you're learning to throw a ball or hit a ball in golf, you are very aware of where you're placing your hands because you're learning it first time. You're very aware of where you place your feet because you're having to figure that out. But then as you practice it over and over again, you become much more automatic. The same way you start to learn to drive a car, and then after a while you just are doing it and you don't really realize how you're doing it. You just become so automated in it because you've done practice so many times that you're not consciously thinking about it. However, when we get under pressure, we reinvest into our knowledge and our execution of that skill. So we are essentially sliding back down to a very early stage in that learning continuum. That's why when you get under pressure, you start to really think about where your hands are, where your feet are, what you're doing, and how you're going to execute that skill. You overthink the movements, and this is where we reinvest our knowledge into that skill movement. And we start to become clunky. So you can see people, when they're under pressure, start to make movements that are a little bit jittery, and they don't have the same swing in golf. They may not kick the ball the same in football. They may not throw the ball the same in baseball, cricket, whatever it might be. And it's where you have just started to overthink. Now, do I know what Rory was doing in this moment, particularly in the US Open? No. But this is something that we could all be doing at any moment when we get put under pressure. So it's about understanding which one do you fall into. Sometimes you might fall into one more than the others, depending on the skill. But it's being aware of which one you're in and then knowing what you can do to get out of it. Okay, if you're enjoying this video, then be sure to like it, hit the subscribe button so you can subscribe to the channel, and you also can hit the bell so that you don't miss out on any new videos. You get notified straight away of a new one that's coming your way. But let's get back into the video. And there's a few ways in which we can get out of them using some different skills, interventions that help us perform better under pressure. So if you have got, say, a distraction-based model of choking under pressure, you might find that having a pre-performance routine could be really beneficial for you. A pre-performance routine is essentially a set of tasks and skills or routines that you have just before you are executing your skill. So this could be relaxation, it could be imagery, it could be cues that you're saying to yourself, verbal cues that you are saying in order to execute it. You might see a fly half. Someone like Johnny Wilkinson will have a bunch of pre-performance routine cues that he has before he executes kicking a ball in a conversion. You might see Ronaldo going through a pre-performance routine before he's about to take a free kick. He might take a deep breath to relax himself. He might say something internally, but then he might be going through the process, or he might have an external focus in that routine. He might be looking at something specific. He might be searching for it specifically. Pre-performance routines are what you build in training. It's all about how you build them. It's personal to you and what works best for you in training that you can then take into competition. But having a pre-performance routine helps you when you're under pressure because you have something to focus on. You can focus down on it and you can just do that, hopefully, when you're under pressure. Does it make the pressure go away? No, it just gives you something to focus on. In fact, none of this is going to make pressure that much easier. It's always going to be hard. It's just about giving you something to focus on so that you don't become distracted or focus on overthinking of your movements. All of those good things. But when it comes to you being on the perhaps self-focused model where you're starting to overthink your movements, you would use something pretty similar to a pre-performance routine. But actually, when you're learning the skills and you're practicing them in training, you just perhaps want to dial down the amount of things that you're telling yourself. So if you're perhaps practicing a free throw in basketball, instead of thinking about every single component of what you're doing in the movement, you just say one or two words that help you execute that skill. You can use cue words that just might say things like smooth or long or something that just helps you remember everything that is there in how you're going to execute that skill, but it's one or two words that you can remember when you're under pressure so that you just do those. I personally use those in my own training. It really, really is effective. I have maybe one or two things that I know that if I say them, I will remind myself of all the different technical things that I have in my skill so that when I'm under pressure and I've got to execute it, I only say those two or three things rather than thinking about everything where my shoulders, my arms, and it can get really, really complicated. And you don't want that. You don't want to add more thinking into those pressure moments, especially if you are self-focused and you're already going to be overthinking it. But lastly, another way of training this type of choking and building out your ability to perform under pressure is through acclimatization. So what you do here is essentially build anxiety and a bit of self-consciousness in your training. Now you can do this through a variety of ways, where it could be videotaping, it could be getting people to watch you ramps up your ego. People are watching you, so you start to think, I need to perform here. You might actually put a reward in there, and you may also have just general people, whether it's your friends, your family, your coaches, it can be your dog if you want, watching you. So it just ramps up that pressure, and you are able to perform, maybe practice your pre-performance routine with some form of acclimatization. Now, is it a form of training in itself? No, it's just a method in which you can start to ramp up the pressure and start to see if you can do these things, whether it's a pre-performance routine, whether it's focusing on your cue words, or even just relaxing yourself under that pressure that you're adding into the climate. It's about creating a climate close to what you can when you're under pressure. So, as I mentioned, I have no idea what was going through Rory McIlroy's mind. I don't know. But what I can say is that there is a chance that something along the lines of what I've explained here could have been happening. There could have been something to do with his internal thinking, maybe the expectation, the fact that he is searching for his 5th major trophy in the last 10 years. And that expectation adds a huge amount of internal pressure. It could have been the actual pressure on the day, the fact that there may have been something in the crowd, maybe someone said something, but only he will know. But for you at home listening and watching to this video, I'm sure you can place yourself in a pressurized situation and think, yeah, when I'm under pressure, I do get distracted by the noise around me. I do get distracted by expectations. I do get distracted by overthinking the movements I'm in. And there are ways you can do it, mainly down to these pre-performance routines, these cue words, acclimatizing yourself to these sorts of situations to help you deal with this pressure. But if you want to develop yourself under pressure, then one of the key ways of doing that is through mental skills. And one of the ways I have found personal benefit is through the art of mindfulness and meditation. And you can do that via the MindStrong Sport app. It is the app and the mental gym to help you develop your mental skills and mindset in sport. With meditations, mindset courses, breathing exercises, and much more, it is the app for you to go to as an athlete. So head to the link in the description where you can download it on iOS and Android and get started right away. So there you go. If you have enjoyed this video, be sure to like it. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and also hit the bell so that you get notified of any new videos. If there's something that you would like me to review from a mindset, mental performance point of view in sport, let me know. Send it into the comments. If you've enjoyed it, let me know in the comments. If you think I've missed something and you've got an opinion, let me know in the comments. Otherwise, I will see you in the next video. But if you do want to improve your ability to choke under pressure, then you are going to want to watch this video next.